Hello and welcome. If you haven't already, I invite you to please click subscribe. There's no obligation, and it allows you to be notified of all new chapters. Additional information about the story, including the author, chapter warnings, and rating, can be found in the description below. All credit goes to the original author. Bleeding Skies by Orphan Account. Chapter 6 The Radio. As they finally reached the top of the hill, holding the blanket with Stiles on it, Derek and Liam shared a relieved glance between them. Stiles remained very quiet as he was being moved, fading in and out all the time. "We're almost there, Stiles," Scott says gently, refusing to lower him down for even a short break. "Just a little bit more. Then you'll feel much better, being out of the sun and on the plain." "Hate planes," Stiles mutters dryly. "Planes suck. Good seating, though." Derek almost laughs out loud. "Didn't know that, Stiles," he retorts. "Brand new info." The wolves feel relief that, despite it all, Stiles still holds on to his sarcasm. It's a sign he hasn't given up just yet. Lydia stares at the blood-red sky. She doesn't want to say it out loud, but already it's starting to cool down, alarming her instead of pleasing her. They don't know how cold the night will become yet. What if it gets so cold they won't be able to warm up the plane? Stiles doesn't reply, his eyes focusing on the aircraft that seems to be miles away, but will only take another 10 steps or so to reach. Slowly but surely, they make it there. When their feet touch the concrete, they're relieved. "Perhaps someone will pass us," Liam speaks hopefully. "Someone's bound to take this road at some point, right?" "Only if you're crazy enough to drive here," Derek mutters. "Or if you know these parts. You know what our pilot said." "So basically we're screwed." Liam's harsh words shock Scott. "No, we're not," he replies sharply. "We're not. Get your act together, Liam. Panicking won't help." "Sorry," Liam replies numbly. "It's just hard. I know." Scott smiles weakly. "You're doing fine, Liam." "I feel helpless," the youngest wolf retorts, unable to take his eyes off of Stiles. "How the hell did this happen, Scott? How did we wind up from going on a weekend trip to this situation?" The question lingers between them all, without a single soul able to answer it. Malia jumps out of the plane, eager to see Stiles again, relieved that he's still breathing. "He's doing relatively fine under the circumstances," Lydia reassures her. "Did you manage to get the radio working?" "Oh, yeah," Malia replies, her eyes focusing on Stiles as she touches him, shocked by the pain that radiates through his form. He looks up at her weakly, his eyes smiling reassuringly at her, despite the hurt he's in. "Are you okay?" he asks her, momentarily losing the grip on his own chest to touch her face. Tears fill her eyes. "You're the one hurt, not me." "I'm okay," he manages to blurt out. Just a minor bump down the road. You know, nothing tape can't fix." The group stares at him as if he's gone crazy. Then Derek snorts. "You know, Stiles, I actually do believe you would be able to patch yourself up with the same duct tape you use for your Jeep. Come on, let's get you inside. You weigh pretty heavy for a lightweight." "I gained muscle. Go figure," Stiles retorts through clenched teeth, closing his eyes when they reach the small iron ladder leading up to the plane's belly. Instantly, Lydia's by his side, shaking him troubled. Only when he reacts immediately, she exhales again. With Derek moving on the plane first, and Scott and Liam carrying most of the weight, they pull Stiles, blanket and all, up on the small ladder, trying to keep him elevated and in a straight line as much as they can. Malia and Liam move below the blanket, pushing Stiles' weight up as they all help to carry him inside. Inside, it feels much cooler than out, getting everyone to sigh happily for one brief moment. But Lydia eyes Scott troubled, knowing the cold will definitely get the better of them at one point. She's troubled about the upcoming evening and what it will bring. The group carefully lifts Stiles inside the plane's belly, still holding him up in the small aisle, above the expensive chairs nobody longer cares about. The plane smells of salty peanuts. Scott eyes the bag he ate earlier, wondering how this already felt like such a long time ago, while in truth, it was less than half an hour. "We won't be able to lie you down on the aisle, Stiles. The plane is too small for that," Scott explains as they hold him. "We'll move you to one of the seats, okay? We'll need to lower you now for a moment so you can stand and then sit. Can you do that for us?" Stiles doesn't reply, nodding briefly. Lydia walks towards the back of the plane and reclines one of the passenger seats as much as she can, making it fold back like a lounge chair. Gently, Scott and Derek lift Stiles so that he slides gently out of the blanket as he grips his chest tight, until his feet touch the ground. Before he has to support on his full weight, Malia and Liam grab him on both sides, holding him between them while Scott removes the blanket from his back and throws it on one of the seats. Malia's hand rests on the small of his back. He can scent her summer perfume. He always hated that smell, even though he'd never tell her. He leans gently into her, his head briefly leaning against her shoulder. The five of them help sit Stiles down on the reclined chair, gently moving him at his own pace. He cries out again in pure agony, this time unable to hold back on his pain as he tries to find a position to lie down in. Stiles soon finds that he can't lie down much at all. Sitting partially upright on his side, curling his legs up, somehow helps relieve some of the pain off his chest. The broken ribs push inside of him, making it harder to breathe. He is panting heavily now, almost gasping for air. It's clear to them all his lung is definitely punctured. Scott has never seen his best friend so pale and sick, not even in his worst hours. Closing his eyes once more, Lydia goes in search for a bottle of water and a cloth to dab his cold, sweated forehead with. Malia and Liam, both young in their own ways, are at a loss. "The radio is still working," Malia says frantically, moving horrified to the front of the plane where Scott and Derek are. "But I don't know what I'm doing. I've been pushing all these buttons, and I can't get anyone to listen, and I feel so stupid." "Malia! Malia!" Derek grasps her tight as she crumbles, tears flowing down her face. "Calm down. I'll do it." "You're not stupid. You're upset. He'll be fine, Malia. Go talk to him. Get him to listen to you. He needs you. He needs you to stay alert." "I'm useless. I don't know how to deal with pain," Malia cries, finally breaking down as Scott moves in and holds her tight. "No, you're not. You're doing so well, Malia," Scott replies gently. "Derek and I will deal with the outside world now. Why don't you go back and sit with him?" She nods, wiping her face as she pushes past Derek to go to Stiles. Derek closes the cockpit door behind her, closing Scott in with him in the small compartment. Lydia, Malia, and Liam stay in the back with Stiles, each picking a seat near him. He feels their presence clearly as they take their spots, focusing on them as a relief for his physical pain. Malia, Stiles whispers, his left hand for the first time since they're on the plane, releasing his chest and grabbing hers. He seeks her out as he opens his feverish eyes, eyeing her intently. He knows exactly what she's going through. "I'm here, Stiles," she speaks warmly, trying to keep the fear out of her voice. "We're all here." Lydia nods at Malia, smiling gently to support her. She sits down on the seat facing Stiles, knowing he's not safe yet. She feels his death lurking around the corner, and it frightens her to no extent. Liam is sitting next to Lydia, silently trying to withdraw more pain from Stiles, frowning as he gets a sense of what their friend is going through. It hurts him to the very core. He feels helpless, remembering what it was like a long time ago to be human. And all they need to do is give Stiles the bite. When push comes to shove, that's what could save and heal him. But he doesn't want it. They all know that. And right now the chances he would survive it are getting pretty slim. "You'll be fine," Malia continues, gently speaking to her boyfriend, while Lydia listens and dabs the cloth on Stiles' forehead again. Surrounded by the two girls he loves the most, Stiles focuses on them, his eyes still open in the process. Lydia can actually see the pain in his pupils. The red skies shine an eerie light inside. "Derek and Scott are radioing for help," Lydia says firmly. "They'll find us soon, and you're going to be okay, Stiles. Just hang on. Get some rest, but stay awake, okay? We need you to stay awake. You can't go to sleep now, not like this." "It hurts," Stiles mutters, his eyes still fixed upon hers. "I know. Liam is trying to find a first aid kit on board with some pain medication. You just rest for a moment, okay?" Malia smiles, her hand moving towards his warm forehead. "Don't worry about anything." Stiles suddenly smiles a weary grin. Wish we had taken the car today, huh? My crooked Jeep, not have broken down. Technically, we didn't crash, did we?" Malia couldn't help but smile back. "I wish we had a DeLorean right now." Stiles' eyes stare at her. "You watched Back to the Future? For me?" "Yep," she admits with a smile. "And guess what's next?" "No," he smiles wearily. "Not Ghostbusters." "Oh yeah," she kisses the top of his hand. "I kinda like these geeky 80 movies you are so in love with. I'll smuggle it into your hospital room after we get you patched up and munch on popcorn." "My girl," Stiles whispers, closing his eyes as he retreats into himself once more without passing out. Malia sighs heavily and looks up at Lydia, whose arms are suddenly around her, hugging her fiercely. "We won't lose him," Lydia whispers in her ear. "You're doing so well, Malia. You're holding on. Both of you are. You're not alone, you know." "I know," Malia says, her dark eyes smiling despite the situation they're in. "I know now what it's like not to be alone." "Hold on to that thought all the time," Lydia smiles, extending her hand to her friend. "I miss Kira." "I miss her too." "Do you think she'll sense we're in trouble?" "Who knows," Lydia whispers. "But even then, she won't be able to do much about it." Stiles grunts, startling them both. His hoarse voice is barely audible as his lips move. "What's he saying?" Lydia asks, straining her already damaged hearing. Just some rambling, I think, Malia replies. I think he's talking to himself. It almost sounds like humming. Lydia moves forward, listening intently. Oh my gosh, he's humming a Lady Gaga song. Oh yeah, Malia laughs. He's crazy about her, didn't you know? Lydia stares at her best friend in shock. You're serious? Yep. Stiles opens his eyes, seeing Lydia. You are too, he grunts wryly. In secret. Lydia turns a scarlet red as Liam and Malia grin at her. Yep, he's got you all figured out, Malia replies laughingly, knowing all too well about the strong bond Stiles has with Lydia. She's not jealous, never was. For some reason, it works between them all. Their friendship, their relationships, their love for each other. It's perfect as it is. Stiles finally falls into a semi-sleep, releasing Lydia's hand. The strawberry blonde wipes past her tired eyes as she watches Liam grasp Stiles' wrist again, trying to help as much as he can, but feeling just as helpless as they all do. He looks 14 instead of 16, his blue eyes clouding over as he doesn't say a single word to Stiles, unable to express his emotions. Lydia remembers how young the kid still is, how he became involved so unexpectedly. She knows he sees Stiles as the odd one out, the one who doesn't want to be strong and self-healing, but in a way he also understands. He knows that Stiles doesn't want to hurt his dad, doesn't feel like he should become supernatural. He wants to remain who he is, because it somehow suits him. Stiles mumbles to himself once more as Lydia moves to the front of the plane, entering the cockpit and listening to Scott and Derek talking to a male voice on the other end. She quickly closes the door at Scott's silent request, his eyes telling her of the problems they're in. Hang on, Derek says into the microphone as he turns towards Lydia. You're not going to like this. Do you want the bad news or the really bad news? Lydia feels cold fear grasp her. What is it? We're literally in the middle of the desert with nothing to go on but these plane's instruments to coordinate our whereabouts, Scott explains. But they're malfunctioning, just like we feared. Apparently our pilot was flying blindly and on pure luck, flight experience, and area orientation when he was heading for Palm Springs. He knew these parts pretty well, but the instruments are by 10 miles off, at least. Could be less, but is most likely a lot more, which will cost him a lot of time to get here. We can't even begin to explain where we are. Crap. So he wasn't messing about when he said that, Lydia says tiredly. Oh God, just what we need. And that's not all, Derek sighs, rubbing his forehead. There's barely any fuel left. He had enough to fly us to Palm Springs, and that's about it. This guy really liked taking risks. The more we use the radio, air conditioning, lights, whatever, the sooner we will run out of it. We have to be careful what to use if we want to outlast long enough for them to find us. It's going to be dark and cold out there soon, and without fuel, we don't have cabin heating. And it's not like we have a lot of blankets in this thing. They can track us by our last coordinates, and then calculate the coordinates based on that, within a 20-mile radius to cover the whole area, can't they? Lydia asks, her brilliant mind trying to count the odds. She knows it's pretty bad. Yeah, but that will still cost them a huge amount of time to get to us, Scott says. Time Stiles might not have. Lydia sighs as she adds the bad news to the long list of problems they already have. Anyhow, Scott continues, there are 3 options right now. Either they fly out a small plane or a rescue helicopter out here to get Stiles to a hospital at once, leaving the plane here for someone, anyone, to pick it up later, refueling it manually before takeoff. That part I don't care about, to be honest. Or, Derek continues, they could come by road and take us back by road as well. If they fly him out, they will have to fly low or he could die, Lydia immediately says. The pressure might collapse his lung completely. A rescue helicopter would be best. They can fly it quite low. What are they proposing? They're looking into the options right now, Derek says. But both options have their issues, and both have the same timing constraint. They'll not be able to get out of here before nightfall, so they're literally flying blind as it is. In less than an hour, it's going to be pitch black out here, Scott sighs. Even if we turn on every light on this plane to navigate a helicopter towards us, which would probably have us run out of fuel immediately, by the way, they will not be able to land in the dark without clear sight. And to fly Stiles out without further damage, they would need a special med helicopter, which they are also trying to free up right now out of Palm Springs, Derek explains. If they drive out here, it will take them about 3 hours to get here, and 2 to 3 hours to drive back to Palm Springs. And because they don't have our exact location, they could be driving around for hours before finding us anyhow. It's literally searching for a needle in a haystack right now. So basically, there's nothing we can do until morning? Lydia asks, horrified. Derek nods. Scott sighs, rubbing his face, eyeing the other wolf. Stiles doesn't have until morning, Derek. He might not even have a few hours. He's in really bad shape. He won't make it. I know, Derek confirms quietly. So what do we do? I refuse to sit around and wait for him to die, Lydia replies sharply. I won't let that happen. We have to figure something out. Stiles is usually the one figuring it out, Scott speaks quietly. Yeah? Well, right now he's counting on us to do that for him. Give me the headset, Lydia orders. Quietly, Derek hands over the headset to her, watching her as her trembling fingers push it over her ears, adjusting the microphone to her mouth. She closes her eyes for a brief moment, remembering all the time Stiles was there for her. She won't let him die like this, whatever it takes. My name is Lydia Martin, she says once she's ready to talk. Stiles is the Beacon County Sheriff's son. Please contact him and ask him to help you out. He can pull some strings to get more people up and about to find us. His son is very badly injured and will die here tonight if you don't act quickly. We don't have until morning. A kind male voice on the other side replies immediately. Miss Martin, your friends have explained the entire situation to us, and we are doing everything we can to get help to you, I promise. We are doing all we can. I'm calling in everyone who is available and summoning volunteers out of Palm Springs who know the desert. Thank you, Lydia replies. How soon do you think you can get here? That, we don't know, I have to tell you honestly, the voice immediately replies. My suggestion is that we have a rescue helicopter ready for liftoff from Palm Springs as soon as you are located by car. And the best way to do that is to send out as many vehicles as we can, scanning the entire area, starting from your last location and calculating a large error percentage out of that. But you have to keep in mind that it will take many hours to find you, if not all night. We have to be realistic, I'm afraid. These desert roads are hardly ever used. The best you can do is to describe the exact area you're in, anything that stood out on your flight to Palm Springs, anything you might have noticed. Our best people are on it, I promise. I'll contact Sheriff Stilinski immediately, too. Lydia sighs, exhausted. What is there to describe? There's nothing but desert around us, and a long, lonely road without a single sign on it. The pilot said there were a couple of those around these parts. I'm not even sure where this one leads to. I know, the man on the other end soothes, but anything might help. You mentioned a name earlier. Black Rock Desert? Yes, that part we already know. Were there any strange mountains or hills that you noticed? Strange shapes or rock formations? No, just valleys and desert sand. Lydia rubs her forehead, trying to push away the throbbing pain she's been feeling since the blast. That road is pretty long, isn't it? And the area huge? I'm afraid so. It's a deserted area. You won't travel there until you need to be there for some reason. In your case, you flew over it at a very low altitude, and your pilot didn't transmit his coordinates as he landed, so it's a blind spot. We will help you, Lydia, as fast as we can. Thank you, Lydia sighs, grateful they're not alone out here. Then she takes a deep breath, her voice betraying her concern. Could you please get Sheriff Stilinski to contact us too, somehow? I think he needs to speak to his son. I think it's really important. Scott holds his breath as he stares at her, realizing what she just implied, but she doesn't say anything more. Of course, the man replies. My colleagues are getting in touch with him as we speak. What's your name? Lydia asks. My name is Michael White. Please call me Mike. I'll be here for you all night, the friendly voice reassures her. You're not alone out there, Lydia. We're all rooting for you, and we're searching for you. You just have to hang in there. Thank you, Lydia says, her eyes focused on Scott as she pushes away her tears. Mike, I need another favor from you. I need to help Styles as much as I can. He needs medical attention, and we need someone to guide us so we can keep him alive. Can you do that? Can you get someone on the line who can help me save him? I'm already on that too. I've called a hospital, and they're sending over 2 people to help guide you through what you can do to help your friend. Even though we can't see Styles, they'll be able to assist based on your findings and descriptions. Lydia smiles. You're wonderful. Thank you. A loud, sharp groan from the back of the plane startles them all. The cry is so loud it cuts through their cores, shocking them as they realize Styles can't hold back his pain any longer and is now losing complete control.